Hello again, LPOPers. We are here not for a webinar, but for a face-to-face interview with one of our innovators. I'm excited to talk to him too. I know you guys are, but let me introduce myself first. My name is Chad. I have been a licensed teacher and I used to teach high school mathematics. I shifted to becoming a company trainer after teaching for around 7 to 8 years. From there, and to cut the story short, I got into DeFi and NFT and became one of the brand advocates of the soon-to-be famous project, Lollipop. My resume and experience when it comes to DeFi and NFT and fintech in general is nothing close to our innovator today. He came all the way from the Americas and is here to have an interview with us and share his expertise. He is one of the world's first and leading financial technology or fintech entrepreneurs and international business advisors, best known for founding commissionadvance.com, cashadvance.com, lowrate.com, and Pocket Teller Incorporated. I can't even begin imagining how busy our distinguished guest is. He also is a diplomatic attaché to the Honorary Consulate of Iceland, a lifelong skier and a mountaineer, and a certified yoga teacher since 1999, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker for today, Mr. Max Cohen. Welcome, Max. It's very nice to meet you personally, finally.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the hospitality, taking me out for a beautiful dinner last night. My first authentic Filipino cuisine in Philippines. And it's a pleasure to be here in beautiful Manila. And so thank you for having me.
I'm
welcome. Excited to be here.
Oh, you're always welcome. It's always exciting to have guests visit us, Max. You are always welcome to come back anytime, and we'll be more than happy to accommodate you. Reading on your accomplishments, Max, you seem to be into fintech. Well, not seem to be, you are in fintech. What started you with this one?
Well, it goes back a long way, almost 3 decades, and I was in traditional finance, Chad. And my business partner and myself decided in 1996, 1997, mid-90s, that we were going to take our traditional-based financial service company and put it on this thing called the internet. And people thought we were crazy. They literally thought we were out of our minds for spending all the money to do what we needed to do to put it on the internet.
For sure.
And most people said to us, you know, who is ever going to apply for a loan on a computer? Well, here we are 25, 30 years later, and who doesn't?
Yes, exactly. Well, that's a cool story, Max. So that's how it started, guys. To be honest, I have just recently learned about DeFi and NFT, and I'm very interested in them and learning more about them every day by actually reading about DeFi and buying some NFTs myself. It's the nature of NFTs that's very, very fascinating, and I believe the future of NFT will be very bright. Is this why you also got into this, Max? Into the
Absolutely.
project?
And you know, where we were in the mid-90s is where we are now with the entire blockchain world. So there's a lot to discuss when we say blockchain or crypto or NFTs or DeFi or smart contracts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So there is a lot, and we're in the very early stages, but absolutely positively, I feel that the future is where we are headed with Lollipop and the entire ecosystem we are a part of. And another interesting thing is when I started in fintech, before it was called fintech, it was just financial services on the internet.
Correct.
Before it was called fintech, there were very few users of the internet. There were 20 million people on the internet. Now there's 6 billion people or so on the internet, 5 or 6 billion, which is, you know, a vast majority of the world's population.
Correct.
And there were 10,000 websites, and now there's billions of websites. So it has gone from infancy, where we are now in the blockchain world, to running the world, and everything that we need to survive is reliant upon that infrastructure working. And we can tell when there's a disaster or a network goes down, how much we have come to rely upon these types of electronic digitization services.
Exactly.
So the topic is DeFi and NFT, Chad. We all hear these two words a lot nowadays, and we may know Web 3 goes around with it too. First of all, you need to understand that Web 3.0 or what it is in order to understand the connection between DeFi and NFT. So I'll try to explain it as simply as possible so that Chad here and everyone out there can understand it easily. By the way, Chad, have you heard about Web 3.0?
I've heard about it, but maybe in words I can't really describe what it is. Maybe you can help me with that, Max.
Honestly, I think most people still don't entirely understand it at all. It's nothing to be shy about. It's okay because it's so early, as I said before, that nobody really understands it.
But putting it in practice is a little bit nerve-wracking for me, Max. I've read about it, but nothing in practical use.
Well, it's going to be so important that I doubt anyone will be able to live without knowing what Web 3 is in the future. If you were to go back to time into 2010, for example, and there were people who were negative about using smartphones. I don't need a smartphone, they would say. No, you should get a smartphone, right?
Well, depends. At the start, I wouldn't really want to get a smartphone. Now I guess it's fairly important to get one. You said Web 3 compared to Web 1 and Web 2 a few years ago.
Yeah, so Web 1, if you don't mind me explaining a little bit where we've come. Web 1 was essentially a brochure. You could go online and look up information on a company or a service or a location, and you could just read about it, news, photos, those types of things. That was Web 1. Web 2 was when we were able to begin interacting and exchanging information and exchanging services and filling out applications and forms. And it became a dynamic experience. But it was very much centralized. Again, back in those days, there was no Google, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no Twitter, on and on and on.
Correct.
The names of the companies back then were vastly different. You had AOL and Prodigy and CompuServe. So the big players were not even born yet, so to speak. And where we're going with Web 3 is we are moving into a decentralized environment or ecosystem where the power, the benefits will be spread amongst people equally, or much more equally in a more democratic way. It's the democratization of the internet, essentially. So that's where we're headed with Web 3.0, and that's a full exchange and dynamic exchange of information.
Well, interesting facts about Web 1.0, 2.0, Web 3.0. I never realized that, Max. Thank you for bringing that up from a small number of websites and users to billions of websites and users.
Let me explain Web 1 and 2 very briefly.
Okay.
First off, Web 1 was from 1990 to 2004. Remember back then, Chad?
Yeah.
Basically, people all over the world were excited just to be able to view websites, read blogs, and read articles. That was the Web 1.0 era.
Those were the dial-up days. I can remember how long it took me just to get, connected to the internet.
Yeah, it took a long time. Then when Web 2.0 era arrived, things changed drastically. Nowadays, we use our smartphones for social networking, look at pictures on Instagram, watch videos on YouTube, and don't really read the words on websites anymore. The essential evolution from Web 1 to Web 2 is that we've gone from an era of browsing information to exchanging information.
Exchanging information, cool. Yeah, I remember those days, guys. You had to download videos one by one. It's not streaming as we know it nowadays.
Yeah, now you can watch videos with ease, with broadband, and we're watching massive data requirements and videos on our smartphone devices nowadays.
Now we can stream this video and people can watch it real time.
I mean, I remember back to 2007 when the first iPhone was released. And people were, this is way too much for me. I can't even understand this and wrap my head around this. And now look where we are with the iPhone 14 Pro.
I can't imagine it. I was amazed with iPhone 1 when it came out back in 2007, you said? My gosh, I can't remember. It was expensive, but people were lining up just to get their hands on that phone.
And people thought it was really hard to use. And they thought, well, I don't need all these features. What are all these apps? I don't need all these apps. And look where we are now. You need all the apps.
Definitely, especially if you need to get away or get around places, most especially you.
Yes.
Here, using your GPS, you need a smartphone.
I could never have imagined how many apps I would have on my phone, but I do have a lot now.
Yeah. You think it's going to be mainstream when we talk about Web 3.0 and Metaverse?
Well, that's how the evolution has been recognized by the majority of people. It takes a little time to transition from the dawn of time, which is essentially what we're doing.
Yep.
And I think what's to become mainstream in Web3 is the Metaverse.
But how does that relate to the Metaverse that we are in right now, Max? What can you say about that?
So the Metaverse is a very interesting topic as well, and a very big topic as well. Even the evolution of the use of video on the internet with the advent of companies like Skype and then Zoom, and how the pandemic affected the use of these video technologies leads us closer and closer to the Metaverse. There's a lot of imagination that can go into what can happen in the Metaverse, but I really feel strongly that it has practical applications as well.
Correct.
For instance, we could have replicas in the Metaverse of cities. We could have Manila mapped in the Metaverse, and instead of Chad having to drive through this traffic that I've been experiencing to register your vehicle or to renew your driver's license, you can actually do the same in the Metaverse. And you can go into the office responsible or the department responsible for those services and do the same thing in the Metaverse as you would do in the physical world. So it has very practical advantages as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of advantages for people with disabilities and people that are remote, and medicine and surgeries, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So it's not just a game world when people think about the Metaverse.
Correct.
It's an actual practical application world as well. And I really feel strongly that Lollipop is creating a platform that will provide amazing services that relate both to art, NFTs, and the practical world.
Very interesting, Max. Wow, I never really thought of it that way. Can't say anything much about Metaverse, Max. So
Well, that's a good reaction, actually. That's how everyone reacts at first, Chad. Of course, that was my initial reaction too. Virtual space, what? But imagine this, Chad. The old days of Skype and video call freeze up easily, and there was constant interruptions and pixelation, etc. But now with the advent of Zoom, you can talk to people anywhere in the world without stress, just as we did when we had the webinar the other day.
Yeah, I agree. I can't imagine what it would be like if we were talking in a video phone now.
Well, that's right. The future of the Metaverse will evolve even further, and the sense of existence will increase. You'll be able to experience that feeling of being there in a Metaverse space. Won't be long before that world becomes a reality as well.
There's no doubt about that, Max. Meta is investing a lot of money in this project, right?
This is a major trend. There's no doubt about it. By the way, Chad, have you ever heard of the movie Ready Player One?
Yes, I won't forget that movie because that's one of my daughter's favorite movies. If I remember it correctly, it's a movie where main characters live in a small room in real life, but in virtual space, he gets to do all kinds of things in the vast world of his favorite avatar.
That's right. You've obviously watched the movie a few times with your daughter.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed now, Chad.
Cool. I think, Max, we've watched a lot of movies, and I'm sure a lot would be excited to be living in a virtual world.
Yeah, that's how I think it'll be. The world of the Metaverse is going to be more real. You're going to play in the virtual world with friends that you met in the virtual space, shop for clothes in a virtual world, and let your avatar wear it and buy jewelry and famous brands just like we wear in real life. Rolex and Gucci, and they're all getting involved in the Metaverse. Yes, Louis Vuitton.
Yep.
You're a Louis Vuitton guy, huh?
No, I'm
that
a Gucci
slipped
guy.
out, Chad. That slipped out.
Metaverse, smartphone, all have to be with me all the time. I can't live without any of these apps, as you've mentioned. If I can have more fun in the Metaverse, I'll probably do that too, for sure.
Yeah, people will spend a lot more time like that. They'll spend time in the virtual world and the Metaverse, then they'll come back to the physical world and have dinner, go for a walk,
Yeah.
and then back to the virtual metaverse again.
Metaverse,
so.
yep. In the metaverse or in the virtual space, even disabled people can do whatever they want to do. It sounds like it's a lot of fun. I'm very excited about what it can do to us nowadays, and it's just like the world of Ready Player One. So, Max, from the fintech industry, what can you say about banking now compared to before? Can DeFi really be a reliable way to send money faster, cheaper, and more convenient than the international money transfers?
Well, let me start by saying this. Using blockchain technology to guarantee trust, we have created an alternative to traditional financial services. But where it is now is quite complex and complicated to get into the ecosystem.
Okay.
Once you're in the ecosystem, it is absolutely faster, cheaper, and more reliable than traditional based financial services. Let's say you bought a house in the real world. You'd have to register it with the land title registries
Correct.
and prove that the land and the building belong to Chad. That all goes away because now there's a digital proof of value and ownership.
Proof of value? Does that mean NFT?
Exactly. Now you're learning, Chad.
Yes.
That is proof of value is an NFT.
Cool.
So now that you can prove it's yours at a glance without having to register it, and you can prove the pictures of the photos drawn by your daughter are hers.
That's great, actually, because until now, digital data could be copied as many times as you want, right, Max?
Yes, to confirm authenticity, we'd have to check with the lawyers and there would be a cost of trust. In my mind, I call this a trust cost. The trust cost is something that costs you a lot of money, so being able to see and confirm this information is a great thing.
Yeah.
This is how Web3 has made it possible to exchange value. By the way, I'm making examples in extreme ways for everyone and Chad's sake,
Thank you.
so you can easily understand it.
Yes, I really do appreciate that, Max, and it makes me grasp things more now when it comes to DeFi, NFT, and the Metaverse.
I mean, DeFi and NFT are two very important things in the role of the Metaverse.
Yep.
I mean, people laughed at others when they saw them standing in line to buy an iPhone in 2007.
Correct, I agree.
But those people who are laughing now have smartphones too. Or those people that were laughing then have everybody has smartphones now.
Exactly, yep.
So even if you didn't think about Web3 before, it's not too late at all. In fact, you're very lucky to know about it at this stage and into the future. At first, I was skeptical, just like you and everyone else, believe it or not.
Well, I was too, but coming from you, the expert that we have here right now, putting it into words and putting it into something that I can grasp, I can better understand, it gives me more confidence in using my smartphone that's already connected to Web 3.0.
Well, it's exciting, Chad, isn't it?
It is.
It's what I'm doing here in Manila. That's why I'm here.
Flew all the way to Manila from the Americas, guys, just for him to explain it how easy it is. Well, I hope we can make every penny of Max's worthwhile as he is here in Manila. In my small, tiny brain about NFTs and DeFi, it was all about art. It was all about all of these music that can be sold as an NFT, but never into a world where we can actually use it practically. Very good, Max. Any other examples where we can apply this in a metaverse and in the real world, as you mentioned?
For instance, there are other great examples. I think one that directly relates to what Lollipop is doing is the NFT world is mostly based in the art world now. And I think it was a great ecosystem to prove the smart contract concept.
Yeah.
And I think smart contracts obviously have use in much greater areas than art, real estate, real property, and they're very powerful in providing revenue or royalties throughout the life of a piece of art or a piece of real estate.
Correct.
Whereas now if you sell it once, it's sold.
Yeah.
With smart contracts, there's an option of getting a piece of that royalty or action into the future ad infinitum.
Yeah.
And obviously massive advantages to artists and entrepreneurs and independent operators that don't exist in the current limitations of today's ecosystem.
Thank you, Max, for discussing Metaverse. It makes me feel more comfortable knowing what it is, coming from you, expert on all of these things.
Let me add one thing, Chad, if you don't mind.
Of course.
And that's where I really feel the value of Lollipop, the team, the effort, and what they've developed so far really shines through in a big way.
Yep.
Because they've taken something very complicated, very complex, very hard to use, and made it easy. And not just easy for engineers and computer geeks, but easy for regular, everyday people. That's really why I believe so strongly and I'm so excited about Lollipop.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was one of the few members who were really not into using it or even wanting to learn anything about it. But since you and the team and the innovators are working so hard to make this thing user-friendly, I'm glad that I am an advocate and into this team, Project Lollipop.
So Chad, what does that mean for Lollipop in the Metaverse? I mean, I think by now we all know that in the Metaverse you have an avatar that represents you.
Correct, yep. I know avatars. That's where you can change your clothes, become different, you have different faces, right? Features of faces you can change and move around the Metaverse dressed as your favorite NFT character.
Right. And in real life today, you go to the barber to get a haircut.
Yep.
Well, you do. I don't. You go to a store, your favorite store, to buy clothes.
Yep.
You go to a jewelry shop to buy a watch or jewelry. Same thing in the Metaverse.
Yeah, we want to be fashionable in the Metaverse too.
That's right. That means there'll be people who make avatars and sell them. Just like there are people that manufacture clothes or resell clothes or vintage shops, there'll be the same type of services available in the Metaverse where people will actually design your avatar, your character, your fashion, your statement. And it's a wide world of options and opportunities because you can be anyone you want in the Metaverse.
Awesome. That's cool, Max.
The Metaverse is a big place. And that's one of the main functions of Lollipop is to bring it all together. And that's really called interoperability. And it's all built on a platform of interoperability, which means bringing all the different services, all the different offerings, product offerings, service offerings together and being able to exchange, buy, sell, transact on different platforms across different platforms.
I can't imagine somebody else or a group of people who can even make an idea of comprising all of these into one platform, guys. That's where Lollipop comes in, as what just Max explained. And now I understand it, Max. All of this coming together, NFT, Metaverse, DeFi, and the Project Lollipop. Thank you for explaining it that way. It's very, very simple.
That's right, Chad, because in the future, people may be very well spending more than half their time in the Metaverse. For those of you saying, that's not true, that's not true, I don't think there's anyone who doesn't want to be part of the NFT marketplace. For example, if you see someone walking on the street wearing cool clothes and you say, I like your clothes, sell them to me. Who buys clothes like that? Well, in the Metaverse, you can.
No, in the Metaverse you can, but in the real world, I mean, I wouldn't want people coming up to me and buying the clothes that I'm wearing because it's cool, right?
I mean, walking down the street, if you see me and you like my shoes, I can't
What
really
size are
sell them
those?
to you. They're size 13, so they're probably a little bit large. But
For
you
sure.
do have Gucci, so they, you know.
I can sell them to you.
I would make the trade even though my feet wouldn't fit.
Yes, that's going to be...
You can do that in the Metaverse.
Yeah.
So that's really, really interesting. You can buy and sell on the spot, anytime. In a real way.
Correct.
For real value and exchanging real value.
Awesome. And that's where I guess the Lollipop will be coming in too.
Right.
It's interoperability platform.
Right. You buy at the mall, that's the marketplace. You buy there because it's safer and more secure.
Yeah, for sure.
Lollipop is a project that's already in motion, 2 or 3 steps ahead into the future. The Metaverse is coming. You know, a lot of people already do live in a virtual space, in a way, because we are already spending 20 to 30% of our day on our smartphones. And when that happens, you want to dress up with avatars and stuff.
Well, I agree with you, Max, 100%. Guys, at the start, I didn't know if I could, but the way you've explained things and talked about it, you can take my money, Max. Have it.
Yeah. Well, of course, there's other people who think like us. I don't think they will be competitors of ours. We think it's better to have them.
Yes.
If you can't beat them,
join them. Yes.
If they can't beat us, join us.
Correct, guys. That's what Lollipop can do and will do. And that's true. DeFi and NFT are still very hard to get started with. It has something that even my mom can do for Lollipop. It's that easy.
And I think it's important to mention again that Lollipop is not a dream. It's in motion.
Yes.
We are steps, 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone else. So this is reality. This isn't fiction.
Correct. I agree, Max. Totally.
We're looking beyond that and building on what's more user-friendly to the general public. I still get the impression that other products are targeting crypto geeks, right?
Yeah, I think so. Most probably, yeah.
Of course, they should. We can ask our mothers to order something on Amazon and they can actually do it, right?
Yep, sure.
It should be that easy. Anyway, as you can see, we at Lollipop are progressing steadily and surely, step by step. And it's not thanks to me, but the many existing and emerging companies are working hard at an amazing speed forward to a world with a metaverse. It's already here.
For sure. I'm sold, Max. Guys, no wonder people have been eager to have you talk about fintech, DeFi, and NFT in their events, Max. And we have you here without the hassle of competing with other events. At the start of this interview, I was very cautious and wary of the idea of Web 3.0. But you have this power, Max, not in the virtual space, but in real life to make an unbeliever like me to a converter. This is all the time we have. I have hoped for more time to speak with Max and interview him. It was great talking to you, Max, and I can see why you flew all the way to Manila. Thank God we were born in these times, in Max's times. And thank you for being part of this cool and awesome project, Lollipop, Max.
Well, my thanks to you as well, Chad, and to the entire Lollipop team. It's really a remarkable team. That's one thing that really got me excited and got my attention and my involvement right from the very beginning is the team of exceptional individuals, hardworking, bright, and super successful in what we're trying to do together. And the future is now with Lollipop, so that's why I'm here.
And that's all for today, guys. We will see you in the next face-to-face or even an event somewhere else regarding DeFi, NFT, Metaverse, and the project Lollipop. Thank you, Max, for coming all the way to Manila.
And Chad, thank you so much for hosting me in such a great way. And thank you, LPOPers.